Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of World Cinema Reviews. And we have a very special one today because we're going to talk about one of my favorite television guilty pleasures, which is The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is basically the best show on television right now. I know I talk mostly about foreign films, but I love horror. Any horror films. I love a lot of American horror films. That's why I have guilty pleasures. So I'm gonna name The Walking Dead, one of my new guilty pleasures. And today we're gonna talk about season one of The Walking Dead. So we're gonna go back in the past, and I'm gonna talk about the seasons as I get to see them. Right now, I'm not caught up all the way. Now I had some time in my life when I couldn't watch the show, so I stopped watching it for a while for personal reasons and but I'm midway through season three, so I expect to be caught up pretty soon. But I can tell you that I love the show, and knowing that, let me tell you why I love the show. I'm gonna try to make it. There's a lot of cram up because we're gonna do one video for season one, so I'm gonna get right on it. So what do I love about the show? Well, first of all, this was a Robert Kirkman comic book, and this Robert Kirkman he started with an awesome idea of making a comic book about a survival horror, which was really awesome. And after that, a superb director took over. Who adapted it to television, and we're talking about Frank Darabont. And Frank Darabont, who make awesome films such as the Mist, which is arguably very much underrated, but more famous films, The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, The Majestic. Um, he's just an awesome director, and helping adapt this to television was the best idea. Awesome. Season one, it's just jam packed with awesome views, awesome visuals. It's basically a show about when the crap hits the fan, when you are all out of options. If there was some apocalyptic disease that will come over the world and destroy it, and only a few survivors, and the few survivors will be attacked by, let's say, zombies, but in the show they're nicknamed walkers, and that's what it deals with, real humans trying to survive the apocalypse, and not just trying to survive the monsters, trying to survive each other, hunger, pain, thievery, all kinds of stuff. So it's not just an awesome cool idea. It's sometimes a social commentary too, thinking about what's worse, the monsters, the zombies, the walkers, or the actual human interaction. When humans are pushed to the wall, I love to quote the Joker from Batman, uh, from The Dark Knight, saying, when you take everything away from these people, they'll eat each other, says the Joker. So, and who knows, maybe that's true. But the show stars a bunch of survivors, seeing it from different points of view, and all of them trying to unite to survive, bunch up. And I love the way I'm gonna do this video, so I'm gonna explain the plot as it goes, but then I'm gonna do some character study because it's just way too much to talk about to cram up in one video. So uh, the basic plot is like this. It's actually, now that I'm a foreign director, so I love one of my favorite British films, which is the 28 Days Later. It's eerily similar beginning when someone suffers an accident in that film, and the protagonist basically it's completely in a coma for those 28 days, and when he wakes up, he notices that the world has been overrun, and he may be the only survivor, and he's in a hospital. And guess what? This is actually pretty similar, except the protagonist, it's a police officer, and the police officer, gets shot and is fighting for his life, gets put into a coma. When he's in a coma, um, he all this zombie apocalypse happens. Then he wakes up, by himself in a hospital. Eerily similar. So we're talking about the character played by Andrew Lincoln. The protagonist, Rick Grimes, and he's a former sheriff's deputy from King County, Georgia. And this guy, he's the perfect guy to do this. I mean, I hadn't seen Andrew Lincoln before, to be honest, but he's such a cool guy that he really makes you feel that this was what a real person will feel. You wake up, you're alone, you don't know what the hell happened to you. So he's slowly trying to piece things together to see what happens. Then he meets some. Then he, after escaping the hospital, he meets some survivors, and they explain to him what happened. And quickly he starts to do what I would do, which is search for my family. I search for my friends and family. That's the first thing I would do. My family first, friends later. My loved ones. And he goes through a great deal. He sees that Atlanta, the city where he thinks that normally everything's cool, but it's not. Has been overrun by a horde of walkers, uh, trying to tear his flesh apart. And he's got a lot of preoccupations in mind, trying to find his wife and his son. And we're not going to do too many spoilers, but I do have to talk a little bit about what it is. So I assume that everybody has seen this, but I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. So he does want to find them, and he does find them, and along with other survivors, and they don't bunch up to survive. And he's like the perfect leader because he's an honorable guy, law enforcement officer, straight as an arrow, puts always others before himself. He's there to serve and protect. So putting a cop, an officer, as the main character was very smart. I do. His acting is superb. He's one of my favorites in here. But he's just one of the persons that make this film so awesome. Then we move on to John Bernthal, who portrays Shane Walsh, and Shane is also a police officer that he's best friends with Rick. And Shane, the thing about Shane is that he's truly a wild card. You don't know what Shane loves his friend, but there's some things that happen in here that makes you wonder whether he loves his friend so much, or is he coveting the wife. You see, a small spoiler, it's he gets on with Rick's wife, and after he thinks that Rick's dead, you know he leaves the hospital and leaves Rick behind because he goes to rescue Rick during the apocalypse, but he can't do it, and he kind of leaves him behind, and he takes care of his wife, but then he becomes romantically involved with her, which makes you see who does. Shane, is also brave. He's also very strong, and he's also a police officer. But I think I'm gonna leave it up to you to figure out. Does he have other reasons? Who does he serve? Does he serve himself or others? And I think that Rick, coming back to the group, because what he does is that he quickly goes and protects Rick's wife and Rick's son, but then he hooks up with her, telling her that he's dead. So she kind of has not to blame because she thinks that he's dead, and time has gone by, and they become romantically involved. But you kind of don't know where Shane is, and you slowly get to reveal Shane's character, and in later seasons we'll get to see more of Shane. Um, Now, quickly about Lori Grimes, which is Rick's wife and mother. She she's kind of like, I don't like her very much, you know. Let me just say that even though she seems loyal to Rick, and after Rick comes in, she says, no, 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 we have to hide this from Rick, and we have to go on because we have to go back like this never happened. But there's something shady about her, and I don't know. I don't. I know she loves her family and everything like that, but she strikes me as someone that moves on a little bit too quickly, you know, because not a long time happened, you know, before the to already be moving on to a new lover. Like, food for thought, which we'll play on later, maybe perhaps on later seasons. Um, well, let's, Laura Holden plays an Andrea, a girl used to be a civil rights attorney. There's other, but let's, she's kind of like a character that's kind of a little whiny. I didn't like her very much in season one. One that I really, really, really like. I gotta talk to you before my video runs out here about two characters that I totally think that stole season one. Um, Definitely, let's talk about the guy everybody loves to hate, which is which is Merle. Now, Merle Dixon is played by Michael Rooker, and Merle is a bigot, racist SOB that meets Rick in Atlanta and the survivors, and that's where Rick kind of learns that maybe you shouldn't trust everybody that's trying to survive. That there's some bad people, and Merle's Merle's an a-hole, man. Merle, he's racist. He's horrible. He has a problem with another character in the group, which is which Aaron Singleton, that plays T-Dog, which is a black character that it's in there. He really, really says some really nasty stuff about him, and they have to kind of handcuff him and kind of have to leave him behind. Uh, you know, so let's, Merle may play there later, but Merle's one of those guys you really love to hate. So he's necessary. You really don't like him. He really wants to get his comeuppance, but he's a tough SOB. So maybe his comeuppance are not coming just yet. Kind of hint for later seasons. But man, he plays a really, really bad guy. You really hate him. And I always like those guys that they portray bad guys. Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger? That's what he got to be known, by playing a bad guy. So playing the villain sometimes not necessarily the bad thing. Now, Norman Reedus, man, Daryl Dixon, his brother, also a tough SOB, but you know he looks more like the type that does the right things. And my friend Boogeyman Ben, he's his favorite character, and he's kind of my favorite too, one of my favorites. And he's just like straight as an arrow, no pun intended. And that's his weapon of choice, by the way. And there's the pizza delivery boy guy, which is really, really cool. And his name escapes me right now, but Steven Yeun, yeah, Steven Yeun. He's the quirky guy who kind of does all those fast jobs to escape, and he's really, really cool, really great. It's the whole cast, man. The ensemble, it's really cool. Um, the ending of it, with because what they do, they try to go get into the CDC to see what happened, to see if the doctors have found some kind of cure. And Dr. Jenner, whose actor just, I can't think of him right now. It's actually pretty cool, and a pretty cool explanation of what the whole thing happened. Kind of leaving you, why did the world get overrun? It's not explained. The season one is jam-packed. I don't want to spoil too much. Enjoy it. If you like this video, like it. If you didn't like it, tell me why. I love that you leave comments. I appreciate your support. I love you all. Enjoy season 1. I hope I didn't spoil it too much for you. I hope I did not. God bless. Peace out. Watch season 1. See you on season 2 of The Walking Dead.